also in the barbershop was a discussion. So the Woman King discussion led to the Bible, because, then, how dare a woman try to be a man? How dare a woman not stay in her lane? How dare a woman? How dare a woman? How dare a woman? And so one of the guys was a pastor, and I'm always happy to get into a conversation or debate with pastors, because they are the most arrogant people that walk the face of the earth most times. And I'm generalizing, I am, whatever. There's a bias here. Especially black male pastors, because forget especially black men, just men, pastors in general. Pastors, people, they stay within a box of ideals. And it's not even ideology, it's just ideals. Someone said this, so it must be true. Someone preached this in a sermon about the Bible, so it must be true. And so me and this pastor, I literally, if you just know anything about men who do not stand on any solid foundation in a thought, you know that all they do is yell. And I'm not good with screamers. I'm not good with yellers. But I had two grown ass men yelling at me while I'm trying to talk to them. One in this ear, because he's doing the head next to me, and one in my face. And they're trying to scream me down, talk about, what Bible are you talking about? I'm like, what Bible y'all talking about? And of course, the star of scripture, when men are trying to subjugate women, comes out where he says a woman is supposed to submit to her husband. I said, okay, well, continue that with a man is supposed to love his wife as he loves his own body. And before that, why don't you guys ever say, submit to one another without a reverence for Christ? Start with that, because all you want to preach is submit to your husband. And then he's talking about, okay, well, because he had nothing to say to that. And he goes, well, so he skips over that, because every time he's asking me what Bible I'm talking about. And every time he brought something faulty up, I countered with the verse in the area, in the region, in the time frame that he's talking about. And he jumps to another topic. And that's how I know that you full of shit. I don't want to visit your church. I don't want to hear anything else you have to say, because you're teaching from a box and you have all these parameters about who everybody should be. And he said something about, a woman staying in her position or staying in her role, or, something like that. I said, and who are you to tell me what my role is? Who are you to tell me anything about who I'm supposed to be in my life? Well, I ain't nothing to you. I say, that's absolutely right. But to my wife, I'm the head of the household. But who are you to tell me who I am? You're not even anybody to tell your wife who she is. You didn't create that woman. You literally, men are literally walking around thinking that every single man on the earth has power over every single woman on the earth. And I call bullshit. What are you reading? What are you studying? You didn't create anybody. Your seed is created by a being greater than anything you can imagine. So you did not even create what you think you created. You are a conduit. That's it. We're all conduits. We're all vessels. And so he's up here talking about, what did he say? He said, it's all a scheme. And I'm not saying that there's no larger scale agenda against black people. Actually, I'm saying there is a larger scale agenda against black people. But what he was saying was that the agenda is only against black men. And that was where I was disagreeing with him and the other guy, all the guys, because they were only concerned with the black man. That's all black men care about, apparently, the black man. And so he's talking about how there's this large scale agenda to erase black men. And he goes, so what happens to a family when the black man's removed? I said, the woman steps up. That pissed him off. What? Pissed him off. I said, the woman steps up. I said, what household do you know where the black man is not there that a woman doesn't step up and do what she has to do? Name a household. She's still not head of household. If a man is not in the house, the woman is head of household. No, she's not. A woman is never head of household. And my stylist behind me says, oh, no, sister, you wrong. Excuse me? She said, well, I've been without a man. My children's father's been gone for 10 years. And my kids are 18 and 19 and or 18 and 20. And she said, I will say, I'm so glad to have a man back in the house. I said, so you're saying that your sons are head of your household? Oh, no, I'm not saying they're head of my household. What I'm saying is that I'm not head of household. I'm just raising my children. Help me make this make sense. Like, tell me how what you just said makes sense. You don't have a husband. You have no male partner in the house for 10 years. But you're saying no one's running your household because there's no man there? She goes, well, I'm raising children. I said, so who's paying your bills? Who's paying your light? Who's making sure that things are staying on and keep on going? She goes, well, paying bills doesn't make you head of household. It makes you head of household if you're the only one doing it. I said, I'm head of my household. I'm the only one there, but I'm head of my household. Like, people aren't even thinking. She goes, I'm financial head of household. I said, no, you're everything head of household. Like, you are literally the person running that household. You are the final authority in that house. In the absence of any mate or partner, you are it. That's it. Unless you're telling me your sons are running you. And she goes, no, I'm not saying that. Well, stop listening to what these ignorant men are talking about. If there's no man in the house, there's no head of household. What the fuck? So you're saying that, okay, so I'm putting my business out there. I'm single. And not because I'm not trying to have a partner. I'm just single. So I haven't had a relationship. So you're telling me that I literally have no authority over my life because there's no man in my life to tell me what to do, where to go, how to believe, how to think, really? Like, that's what you're telling me right now. And the pastor just looked at me. Well, no. Well, in that instance, no, I'm not saying that. You know, if you're by yourself, well, yeah, you have to run your life. Okay. So back to your argument about a man not being in the house and a family being nothing without the man. How can you now still say that a woman stepping up in that situation is not head of her household or head of her family? I said, you know, and he kept on saying, so then the guy over here, he said, you're sexist. He told me I was sexist. They said, yeah, you sexist. So then they just started calling me names. Now I'm bougie. And they're like, oh, she's a bougie Christian. She's one of those white Christians practicing in white church. Coming up here with all these, what did they say? All these yuppie words. Because I said I want an equal partner. They call me bougie because I said I want to be an equal partner in my marriage. I said I ain't never been called a bougie Christian. Are you kidding me? I mean, just straight up just started calling me names. So I was like, the pastor and the other guy who was on his theology, right? So yeah, they were like, oh, you sexist. Why she keep on bringing up women? I said, why you keep on bringing up men? Like, they were offended because I was defending women in this conversation about faith, belief, womanhood, and manhood. They were offended that I defended women. I can't make this stuff up. I told them when I left, I said, I'm going to be writing a lot about y'all. Like, y'all just gave me a whole book. Thank you. Because this is blowing my mind. And I told my hairdresser when I left out, I said, I don't know if I want to vlog or if I want to write or blog. I said, there's just so much to unpack here. So, so I'm a bougie Christian who apparently, talks white because she's talking about a partner instead of a husband. I said, a partner doesn't negate a husband. Like, I'm just saying that I want to be an equal partner in my relationship. That's all. Simple. He goes, no, ain't no equality. The pastor. Ain't no equality in marriage. I said, what do you call your wife? She's my ace player. Oh, you're an ace player. And then, the guy's getting on it. Yeah, she's like his star player. She's, she got his back. He's the coach. She's a player. I think this was my reaction. I said, see, you're calling your wife a player on your team? You can't even say that your wife is an equal partner in your marriage? She's a player to your coach? Like, just, he goes, there's hierarchy in the kingdom. There's hierarchy in the marriage. I'm here, she's there. Does she know she's there? Like, are you kidding me, man of God? Are you kidding me? I said, nowhere in the Bible does it say that a woman is inferior to a man. Show me in the Bible. Tell me a verse where you see that woman is inferior to man. I'll wait. They never came up with the passage. He went back to his submit to your husband, for which I gave him 5:20. 5:20 to 5:31 Ephesians 5, let's just say Ephesians 5:19 to 5:32. Just read it for yourself. So, and I play sports, so I'm good with sports analogies. I've been in business worked for corporations for most of my adult life, my teenage life, all that good stuff. So let's say 34 years of corporations of various forms, and an entrepreneur. Okay, so I understand team analogies very well. And I will tell you, in nowhere of all my years since playing team sports and working in corporations with team, propaganda, has a player ever been equal to a coach. Nowhere. Nowhere has any type of motivational speaker alluded to an equality between the teacher and the student. Nowhere. And so if you are a man thinking that your head of household equals to you being the coach, and your wife as a player who's either here, or all the way below your sight, then you're wrong. You're wrong, and you have a marriage that's not really a marriage. You have, a construct that's of your own making, that's not biblically based, that's not mandated at all by God, okay? So when I think partnership, when I think equality, and what he was saying was like, there's roles and positions, and a woman has to stay in her role and position. I'm head of household, and you can't do nothing without a neck, without a head. What can a neck do without a head? A neck can still turn. But what is a head going to do without a neck? It's just going to stay in one position. That's it. You're stuck. But you can still move that neck without a head on top. Try to explain that to him. So obviously it's better if we have both the neck and the head, if we have both working in unison, obviously, right? And so what I gathered from him and his thinking is that because he was very offended by my use of the term equality, that man and woman are equal beings, equal in marriage, right? He goes, no, right? But before I left, he was calling his wife an equal partner. And let me tell you what changed that. For all his screaming at me for an hour or so, he literally did not disagree with me. He was just putting on a performance. And so his wife called, and his tone completely changed. And I am quick to holler at a wife. Because I was like, hey, he's up there talking to her in front of me. I said, oh, that's your wife? Because he said, this is my wife. Hold on for a second. I said, oh, girl, how you put up with that? You know what he talking about in this barbershop? And he was like, his tone completely changed. And he sort of smirked at me. And when he got off the phone, he said, yeah, my wife is my partner. I said, yeah, you don't want her to hear what you're talking about over here about her not being an equal partner, about her just being a player. Oh, you don't want to share that with your wife on the phone in front of me, right? And so before he left, he was even saying, yeah, she's a great partner. She's an equal partner. Tone completely changed. Because, first of all, men will talk the crap that they think they can get away with. And they will try to impose upon everybody the things they can get away with. But in actuality, if they have a strong woman, and this is the power of a woman, if they have a strong woman who knows who the hell she is, they are not walking all over that woman. And they are acknowledging her power. They are acknowledging her authority. They are acknowledging exactly who she is in her own self, within her own being, and also who she is with them, okay? For them, through them, for God, and through God, and by the Spirit. Men know this. They are not immune to knowledge, right? They're resistant to it. They're resistant to understanding. They're resistant to appreciation. But when they get to the point of appreciation, they get to the point of acceptance. Okay? And so all his screaming, when he calmed down after he talked to his wife, he was talking sense. So that's one thing I wanted to share. So he was tripping, but that wife, I'm sure she had no idea what we were talking about. He didn't reiterate what we were talking about, but I think just hearing her voice, he corrected himself. Just hearing her voice, he corrected himself. So think about that, y'all. You know, I think women go through so many things trying to be what we think men want, when all we have to do is be ourselves. All we have to do is be ourselves. And that's a powerful thing, you know. And yes, you're hearing that from a woman who doesn't have a man. And I'm okay with that. Because I'm going to be myself before everything. This is who I am. This is how it is. And it is what it is. And I just assume that, you know, the type of man that I need either is not created yet. Well, God willing, he's been created already, but he's not fully formed. And maybe there's none. I don't know. But whatever the case is, you know, so these barbershop guys, they try to get me, they're basically telling me that I was single because I don't have a welcome mat. You don't have a welcome mat out. That's why you're still single. So I need to put a welcome mat out and just welcome all comers. They're like, oh, you probably want one of those beta men. You want one of those beta men that you know, does whatever you say and, you know, lets you wear the pants. I said, I don't know a woman. I literally don't know a woman who wants a man who does everything she says. Don't nobody want to be telling nobody what to do all the time. That's not how we live. I said, I want somebody who knows who they are and who can literally speak and deal with me on a level that I'm on. That shouldn't be too much to ask. And if me being direct and me being purposeful and me being who I am is too much for you, then you are not for me. And that's okay. So I don't need to put out a welcome mat to, you know, interview people. And literally one of the barbers came down and started speaking to me. He shut them all up. He goes, fellas. You know, just listen to the lady. just, you know, y'all are shouting at her. Just screaming at her, just coming at her hard. And she can't get a word in edgewise. And everyone just bust out. I bust out laughing. And the pastor goes, well, you know, if you're waiting for an interview, just ask her for an interview. And he turned around and smiled. I said, no, I got it. I said, and the pastor goes, is that the type of man you want? Somebody who's adaptable? I said, we all have to adapt. Like, what's wrong with the adaptable male? I adapt. Like, why are you so critical of people sort of trying to come together in the best way that they can come together? And I said, what did I say? I said, but at the same time, I said, listen, what he just did is something that's truly attractive. And that's what you guys are missing. He came to my defense. He came over and said, you guys are speaking to her ill. You shouldn't be speaking to a lady that way. That's absolutely attractive. And thank you, brother. I said it. And they're like, oh, look at her. Well, when's the first date? When's the first date? That doesn't mean I need to go out with him. That means that I appreciate that he actually told you guys that you're wrong for the way that you're speaking to me, that for the way you're yelling at me in unison and won't let me actually speak to a point. So I appreciate that. And I shared that I appreciated that. And so then they started calling him beta male. Someone who's, you know, just trying to cozy up or whichever. And I thought it was hilarious. I said, that doesn't make him a beta male. I said, and he was playing to the tune or whichever, you know, where he was super agreeable. But it was still a great day at the barbershop. But all that to say that common thoughts about submission are just wrong. And I share with my stylist when the guys stopped screaming at me and went about other conversations and stopped calling me names. I'm a sexist now. I'm a yuppie sexist Christian. All about women's and women's and womanhood and women. But when I shared a story, with my stylist. I said, what I was trying to say about roles, I said, I take exception to the pastor's use or insistence on roles and positions, because we all have ideas on what's appropriate for other people without knowing other people. And so, you might think that something's masculine and a woman is trying to be a man because she's doing what you think is masculine. It may just be natural to her. And she's not thinking that it's masculine. It's just something she likes to do. And vice versa with the man. He might be doing something that people have deemed to be woman's work when he just enjoys doing it. And he's not thinking anything of it. He just enjoys doing it, right? And so she goes, okay, sis, I see where you're coming from. She said, yeah, one of my friends, she learned to cook from her dad. Because her dad was the cook in the family. He did what we consider to be woman's work. He stayed home. He did the cooking. And she learned to cook from him because the mother liked doing all the, handiwork. She did the lawn. She, fixed things. And she was the tool person in the household. I said, but was he still head of household? She said, yeah, he was still head of household. I said, that's my point. It's my, literally, just what you do in your partnership and in your family and in your home does not mean, as man and woman, right, does not mean that, I'm bringing home the bread as the woman, I'm making more money, so now I'm head of household. That's not what that is. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be defined roles in that sense, just in that sense. But that also does not mean that the man makes unilateral decisions for the whole household or for the whole family without consulting or seriously consulting his partner, his wife, right? And so then I started talking about deference, submission in terms of deference, right? I said it's respect, it's mutual respect, and that's essentially what it is. How we talk about submission as obedience. What's that? Unconditional obedience. And so the way men talk about it, and this is where I take umbrage, is men act as if submission needs to be automatic, unconditional, absolute obedience to their word. Okay, if I tell my woman she better because she needs to submit to me because I'm her husband. No, bro, that's not what that is. No, that's not how I understand the word. To me, what submission is that I'm considering the other person and other people in general, not just my partner, but we're talking partnerships here. So, but this is a world view, okay? So people are like, don't submit to anybody. And my thing is, we submit to everybody, or we submit to people all day long throughout the day. Okay, so submitting is actually deference, respect, and yielding. Okay, so I might have a strong opinion about something, but I'm not necessarily going to beat you over the head with it. I'll state what my opinion is. And if you have a strong opinion the other way, and we're not coming anywhere to a middle ground, or it's just an open discussion, then I'm going to, say my piece and stop. Okay? That's me sort of deferring the conversation to end in a conciliatory way, right? So it's not me being domineering. Same thing. Some people think that being dominant is, the alpha way, or being dominant is, the way to show manhood or leadership or whichever. No, it's the way to subjugate people. You think you're a conqueror. That's what dominance is. Like, you're trying to literally conquer somebody's thought. You're trying to conquer someone's beliefs. You're trying to conquer how people act and behave. That's domination. That is not something that's conducive to relational or relationship submission in any type of way. Because if I'm being dominated in a relationship, I'm going to try and figure out how to get out of that relationship. How do I get out of that situation? If my partner never hears me, why am I trying to talk to him? What is communication for if you're not being heard? Okay? If you're not being seen, if you're not being appreciated, if you're not being understood. Okay? So if you just think through what the thought process is, you see the error of it. And so what I shared with the stylist was and said, okay, for example, I got out my car. Some man was asking me for money, and I just shook my head. No, I don't have any extra money, and I walked away. I said, but I had to come back to my car for something, and he was still there. And so the submission in me, I said, what struck my spirit was I didn't want to give money, but I could give something. Okay. And so what I said to him was, I have some cold chicken here. Had chicken for some, deli, hot chicken tenders or something, for my lunch. I said, I don't have extra money, but I have some cold chicken. Do you want that? He said, no, I don't want chicken. He goes, but do you have something to drink? I said, I do. I have water. You want water? He goes, yeah, I'll take some water. Thank you, sis. And so I gave him water. I said, to me, that's an example of submission. Okay. And it's not me submitting to a male because he's male. It's me as a human being seeing that, okay, he has a need. I can't feel the need that he asked for, but I can feel something. Okay. So, okay. I'm not, because I only had cash in my wallet for my hair. So I wasn't giving away my wallet money because I needed to get my hair done. So I gave him water, and there was a conversation about that. Okay. No money. I have food. No, I don't want your food, but I'll take a drink. Okay, well, here's a drink. All right. That's literally deference to another human being. That's all that is. And that's all relationships are. Not all, but that's what relationships are built on. It's about mutual respect, mutual consideration, mutual communication, and just sort of seeing how we can ebb and flow together. Right. And so this is what I was not able to say in a barbershop to the men because they were shouting me down. But I was able to share with the stylist, and she said, I can see where you're coming from. She said, but you're never going to be able to have an intelligent conversation with men who think that they know everything. And this is a total truth, so, I let them shout, let them question my, my faith, and with the firm knowledge that I'm fully covered by the blood of Jesus and imbued with the Spirit of God. I'm good. You can question whatever you want. I'm good. And I also shared with her a story about an old friend. So I had this Muslim friend in college and went to visit her home in Boston a couple of times, where I met her mother, who was one of the most amazing and impactful women I've ever met. And her mother was raised Catholic, and sometime in her early 20s or something became Christian. And before she had children, she became Muslim. And so she raised all her children as Muslims. So she had this a very colorful knowledge base of belief systems, right? And she also studied various religions. And I think we were talking about, and I at the time of this conversation with her, this was maybe, I don't know, a number of years ago, maybe at least a dozen years ago or so. And I was just getting into my study. So I was just beginning to deeply study the Bible. And I had some questions. I was telling her some concerns, and probably around, male-female roles, because, the church teaches certain things, and I was reading different things. And I'm trying to understand, well, this is what they're preaching, but this is actually what the word says, And so the topic came on to men and women. And she said, and so I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but I remember her answer. And what she said to me was that she believes that the male and female that the Bible speaks of in Genesis is not necessarily physical as much as it is energy. And so the way she looked at that and the way that she explained it was like there's a female energy and there's a male energy. And when we think of masculine traits and feminine traits, we're thinking of energy more so than actual roles and positions in a household or in a family or in a relationship. And so she said, and I think this was also, and don't get mad at me, also about homosexuality, where she was saying that essentially, if people and not people, and I'm going to mess this up, but, whatever. But the best way I can explain it was like homosexual relationships are still energies. Okay, so there might be a masculine energy that's attracted to a feminine energy in a male, and two male bodies, however that works, and two female bodies. But the energies are what's male and female more so than the bodies. And that's not negating male and female bodies. I'm not saying that. But just what she was saying was that the energies are sort of trump the bodies in that sense. And I sort of get that. I, get that, the things that we consider to be masculine are harder. They're more aggressive, more dominant in nature. And the things that we consider to be feminine are softer, gentle in that sense, right? And we can also say in my own study, since that conversation a dozen years ago, what I've come to is that the feminine is usually very spiritual and the masculine is usually very physical. Okay? In the sense, and this is my own rethinking of it from what she shared with me years ago. What I find is, like, even if you just study Genesis 2 and 3, chapters 2 and 3, when man was created, we think of man as being, at that point, the creation of man, as being male, Adam, right? But the word itself is humankind. Okay, so if we think of Genesis, that first human being a whole human being that embodied both the male and the female dispositions, both the male and the female gender, both the male and female natures, and then the split when the book says that he made them both male and female. The split came that then that human, we, then embodied both male and female natures. We embody both male and female genders. We embody both male and female energy. Everyone does, right? And some of us have one energy that's more dominant than the other, and that does not negate the other energy. And that's the way I view it, right? So I may have some energy that comes off as very masculine. I don't see it, but whatever. But I also have a lot of energy that comes off as very feminine. They're both me. When I'm feeling like I need to just go hard in business, or I need to, be as aggressive as I can possibly be, and that may be considered male in the culture, that's not me trying to be a man. That's just me being LaShonda in, hustle mode or grind mode or whatever. We all have these modes. We all have these energies. We all have these ways of living various versions of ourselves at various times of our lives. And I think that all of that needs to be embraced. And so one thing I've been saying lately is that I will not be limited by your lack of imagination. I'll say that again. I will not be limited by your lack of imagination. And so what that means is that people are always coming at me, at you, at everybody with their own ideas of who that person is, of what that person deserves, what that person can be, without knowing anything about the person, very little about the person, or only one version of the person, right? So I remember when I first started trying to get into the church, the first church I joined a number of years ago, the first lady was like, "You would make a great greeter. I want to see you at the door. You have such a beautiful smile." And I said, "Thank you, Miss Linda, but I don't want to be a greeter. I'm not interested in greeting these people every day. I want to come in, sit in my seat, and mind my business. That's what I want to do. But thank you very much." I didn't say all that, but I smiled and said thank you. But it tickled me that people put their own version of you in your face and expect you to be grateful for it. And I probably would have made a great greeter, but I wasn't interested in being a greeter. I just wanted to sit in the pew and soak up whatever I could soak up. And that's what I did. And I think we're all blessed for it. Quite honestly. I learned a lot sitting in that pew and soaking up the word and learning how to study and learning how to understand what I was studying. and not being sidetracked by greeting people all the time and being on display all the time and being expected to smile and get up and do this because somebody new was coming in and all this other stuff. No, I wanted to be a pupil. I wanted to be a student, and that's what I became. So, yeah, don't limit yourself to somebody else's perception of you. Be blessed. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment, y'all. This girl I need interaction. So, when I don't, produce and all that, it's because I'm not getting anything back. And I know people are interested because people are still visiting my sites, but no one says anything. So if you want me to do more, say more. God bless you. And go out.